Today we're going to take a closer look at the new monsters that come in the Beastclaw Raiders book for Age of Sigmar. This is our tips and tactics on how to play these bad boys. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, so another week and we got another battletome for Age of Sigmar. I'm Baer, and hey, welcome back to what's quickly becoming the 40k and Age of Sigmar channel, I guess. No, there's it's cool to have a lot of different stuff to talk about, and I always enjoyed Warhammer Fantasy, and we covered it back before the switch to over to Age of Sigmar there, and it's been great to actually be kind of re-energized to talk about this stuff because I feel like it's relevant. And people actually want to know. So I'm actually playing these guys in the new Age of Sigmar. I picked up the starter from last week and some other models from my buddy Sai, who happens to be in the hospital today. So hopefully he's watching this. And what's up, dude? Thanks for the hookup on that. We're working on them. They're behind me. They're just kind of chilling. Cats are guarding them. They're coming along. Anyways, so this book, just like the Bone Splitters that came out, it's a smaller mini version of the faction. Like these guys, it's not the full ogres. You don't get all the cool dudes on foot or like the butchers or anything like that. Actually, there's no magic in here except for some little special abilities the Huskards can do. But other than that, it's deceptively simple. Like when it comes to the models in here. Now you've got 10 new war scrolls in here. Well, not new. Just some of them replace existing stuff. Some of them are new there. It's a normal size book as far as contents go. It's your codex size to compare it to 40k or battletome size, pretty much what we're used to in Age of Sigmar here. Now this is the third one to come out with a special allegiance abilities here. You got allegiance abilities, then you got war gear as well, and then of course magic. But they don't have magic. They have like a special rule for the all winter that you kind of got to roll for, kind of like the warp storm table for demons in 40k. And then it gets into the battalions, which there's 10 of those, and 3 of them are like a combined kind of battalion inside a battalion, yo dog kind of format there. And then it gets to war scrolls and the rules themselves. Now we're not gonna, and there is some battle plans in here. There's 3 of them. We're not gonna really talk about that today because obviously if you're that into this book, then you're probably going to pick it up and you're probably going to run some of those narrative missions in here, which we don't really have to, cover that. But this is more of a kind of laying the groundwork for, what I think is good and how I think you should field it, or some things to look out for on the tabletop. So getting into the explanation of allegiance, Beastclaw Raiders, of course, and battle traits, command traits, and artifacts of power. Now, command traits are different from command abilities. Command abilities, you have one general, he's your general, he does a command ability, he can do only one command ability. Command traits are kind of something over here that you can just choose or you can roll for, and they just kind of happen when they're supposed to happen, at a specific point. Like you can reroll the Everwinter's Blessing table as one of them there. I think one is +1 to your wound. So you just kind of pick it and it just kind of happens for your general guy, right? Then you've got battle traits which apply to the whole army, which right here, whenever you charge into combat, you can reroll all wound rolls of 1 for the Beastclaw model, Raider models in the combat phase. So that's kind of cool as well. And then it gets into the Everwinter's Blessing, which is really neat if you start thinking about it. It's you roll it every turn. On a 1 to 2, you reroll failed save throws of 1 for Beastclaw Raider faction, right? Or a keyword rather. And then 3 to 4, all friendly models can immediately move 3 inches as if the movement phase it cannot run or retreat as part of this move. So you can't run away, or you can't run, or you can't retreat, but it's basically an extra 3-inch movement, which during your movement phase you can still move 3 and you can still run. Or you can still move your normal move, which for the big guys is 12, the Morfangs is 9, and the other dudes this is a little bit, it kind of scales back if they're just on foot, right? So that's really interesting. It helps you kind of move along the tabletop. And then on 5, roll for each enemy unit within 3 of at least 1 of your Raider models. On a 6, that unit suffers D3, and then number 6 is D6 mortal wounds. So just kind of piles on the mortal wounds right there. Now for command traits, there's some decent ones. My personal favorite is the one where you re-roll this chart right here, because you might not need that movement. Maybe you're already in combat. Maybe you want to try to bump up to get up to here, right? Or maybe you want to get that one save right there. Like, hey man, I really need to hold this block of cavalry over here. Really needs to hold this objective. I need to re-roll my ones. Boom, there it is, right? 2, that is the Everwinter's Master that we just talked about. As long as your general's alive, you can reroll it. Avalanche Voice is 3. You can add 8 to the range of any command abilities your general uses. 4, Famed Hunter. You can reroll all 2 hit rolls of 1. In your general's, for your general's melee and missile weapons, this does not apply to any attacks made from the mount if he has one. Beast Eater, you can reroll wounds to wound rolls for your general, making attack against monsters. And fearsome leader, enemy units within 3 inches of your general must subtract 1 of their bravery. That's probably my least favorite, but it is what it is. Now, as far as war gear goes, normally there's arcane and normally there's just normal war gear. Again, there is no casters in this army, so we don't have any of the arcane stuff. But remember, if you take battalions, you get an extra piece of war gear for another hero. A hero can't have more than 1 artifact of power. Now, on the artifact of power chart, my personal favorite is the Pelt of Charngar, which lets you roll a dice at the top of your turn, which is your hero phase. On a 1, 2, or 3, the Baer heals 1 wound. On a 4, 5, or 6, he heals D3 wounds, which is super sweet, I feel like. So, but then there's some other cool stuff here, like the elixir. In each of your shooting phases, the Baer can drink from the elixir of the Frost Worm. If they do, pick a unit within 9 that's visible to them and roll a dice. On a 1, the model suffers a mortal wound that's casting it. On a 2 to 3, the unit you pick suffers 1. On a 4 to 5, suffers D3. On a 6, suffers D6. Wow. This army has a way of just piling on mortal wounds like no other. You know, like the Bone Splitters was all about killing monsters. Now we have a monster faction that's all about dealing mortal wounds. And, you know, who knows what the next faction is going to be. And I'm sure it's just going to escalate the kind of like power tactics kind of curve. So you've got these things that all seem to cancel each other out on the tabletop. It's almost like it's rock, paper, Age of Sigmar, scissors almost a little bit. With the Savannahs, of course, they're just kind of good at everything. They were kind of a full release. You didn't just get like, hey, we just got these Boar Rider guys and these Savage Orcs. You got, you know, they kind of got the whole gamut of stuff there, right? So number 3, we talked about the Pelt. I like it. The Blade of Allfrost, pick 1 hero's melee weapon to be the Blade of Allfrost. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of this weapon if the weapon wounds a hero or a monster. The model cannot be selected to fight in the combat phase until after all other units that can do so have fought. So that really slows down things. It's basically adding a concussed mechanic over the Age of Sigmar, taking it from 40k. 5 is tokens of Everwinter. Once during the battle, if in any hero phase, the Baer can swallow the tokens of the Everwinter. If he does until the start of the next hero phase, you can reroll all his hit rolls, to wound rolls, and to save rolls made for him. So it's kind of like a one-time thing until he poops them out, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that. It's cool. It'll keep you alive, you know, some stuff, but I feel like it's a little situational. I'm still on board with my number 1 pick here. And then 6, Iceman and Skullplate. The wearer of the Iceman and Skullplate can reroll all save rolls against weapons that have a Ren characteristic of dash. That's weird. I don't know. That has to be a typo. I'm missing something there. I guess if you have Ren dash, that means you don't get a save against it at all. Because if you have dash, according to this little blurb right here, which a lot of people forget to read. Oh wait, it's at the start of the War Scrolls. If something has a save of dash, you just don't save of dash. Some else have a save of dash. This means it automatically fail all save rolls. Do not make the roll even if modifiers apply. I wonder if that's what that means. That's interesting. Random characteristic of dash. I don't know. I'm going to have to research that one. That kind of snuck up on me there. My apologies. So then we get into the battalions. And the battalions are a little unique. They kind of give this flavor. It's kind of like the clan feel. They call them Alfro Stuns. And the Alpha Stuns are like the formations. Like you have a War Scroll battalion and it's a multiple battalion kind of battalion. I heard you like battalions, so we're going to battalion your battalion, and then we're going to make you take something else on top of it. And that's what these are. This one, and there's 2 in the back, and then there's like a combo one with the Orug. So that's what this is right here. So this one's cool. Frost Lord on a Stonehorn or Thunder Tusk. 1 Jorlbad, 1 Earlbad, 1 Torbad, and 1 Scal, I guess. I don't know what a strong bad is, but I feel like one of these should be a strong bad. I almost feel like I just want to keep saying strong bad. We're going to substitute out one of those, and we'll see if you even pick it up there. So the abilities is the Alpha Stun Avalanche, and while the entire formation stampedes towards its foes, basically you can reroll all failed to wound rolls made for Beastclaw Raider models in the combat phase. So not just ones for charging in, all to failed to wound models. And then it kicks over to the individual battalions. Now this one right here, if you add this one up, this right here is about 450 just for a Stonehorn or a Thunder Tusk. And then you got these each individual ones here. I mean, you're talking 1,080, 1,060 for each of these, depending on what you take. And then a Torbad is roughly another 1,000 points. No, it's more than that. It's like 1,600, and a Scowl is pretty simple. It's just 100 and 2 squads of Sabers, so that's roughly 300 points right there. So literally, if you could feel this is quite a bit of Ogres right here. I mean, you're talking easily 5k in Ogres, I feel like. And that's if you don't buff any of the, if you don't take more than just the minimums, you know what I mean? Then it jumps over to Jorbad, which I personally like this. This is probably my second favorite one right here, I feel like. So you got a Huskard on a Stonehorn, and I like the Huskard, and we're going to talk about him when we get to the War Scroll section. Then you got 1 to 2 Stonehorn Beast Riders. I like the Stonehorn mount, but I like everything in moderation in this army, and I'll explain to you why on that. Morphang packs are just all around good. These guys are pretty much stupid good. For, you know, 4 of them is 400 points, so they're basically 100 points a model. And the abilities are Tip of the Spear. You get to run and charge in the same turn. Another reason why I like this one, because running and charging is always good if you just got to get stuck in. And then Fighting Hand, second only to the Frost Lord. You can reroll failed battle shock tests for friendly Beastclaw Raider units that are within 12 inches of this. So it's not just, you know, these guys, it's also anybody within 12 inches. So it's a good, well-rounded battalion, I feel like. And then its counterpart is the Earlbad, which pretty much does the same. It has the same composition, except for you got to flip the script, right? And it does a little something different here. So its abilities, it's literally the same points cost. This is roughly 1,060 points, depending if you just go straight minimums, which is everything I generally quote. So right here is 800 points in Morfangs, roughly 320 points in Stonehorns, and 340 points in Huskard. So its ability here is if you roll a wound of 6 or more for an Earlbad model in a combat phase, the attack inflicts 1 immortal wound on the target in addition to normal damage, which Stonehorns are going to be doing quite a bit of damage, don't you worry. Those things, they basically have a stomp in Age of Sigmar, if you're familiar with that term, in 40k, just straight wrecking fools. They don't automatically remove them, but they straight wreck them. They might as well be a stomp. And then the Eating Hand, add 1 damage to the characteristic of all melee weapons used by Earlbad's Huskard. So, you know, when you start charging in with what used to be 4, now it's 5 attacks, and then, you know, the Stonehorns themselves, just doing a lot of extra attacks, it just gets pretty brutal. Then we jump over to the Torbad, and that's 1 Huskard on Thunder Tusk, and 3 to 9 Thunder Tusk Beast Riders. Now this right here will clock in right at 2k, and it also works because you can only have 4 behemoths at 2k, so that's very fortunate, right? This is probably my favorite formation here as far as, you know, I think usability goes. So enemy units cannot retreat while they're within 3 inches of a Torbad unit, so you're going to hit them, they're not going to be able to get away. They're basically stuck in forever. Furthermore, if you roll a dice in each of your hero phases for each enemy unit within 3 inches of at least one of the Torbad Thunder Tusks, which are going to be 4 of them here, so I imagine they're going to be within range of 1 of them. Add 1 to the result of this dice for each additional Thunder Tusk, okay? Well, so I have a feeling you're going to be +4, right? Because you got 4 of these bad boys, and they're not exactly easy to kill. Well, the Thunder Tusks are easier to kill than the Stonehorns, but still, they have 12 wounds. Add 1, we just talked about that. On a 6, the unit suffers a mortal wound, and on a 7 it suffers D3 mortal wounds, and on an 8 it suffers D6 mortal wounds. So if you roll average, like say you get a 4 on a D6, and you have 4 of these guys right here, right? Now you're talking 8 right off the bat, boom, D6 wounds. I like this formation, it's saucy, I like it. And then over here we got the Scowl, which is just the Icebrow Hunter, which is the old Hunter from Age of Sigmar, and 2 to 10 units of Frost Sabers, which is the Kitty Cats. So if you want to field a Kitty Cat army, you can do that right here. Now, he has the ability to come in, basically just kind of set up on the table, you know, within 9 inches of the opponents. I feel like. And then what's cool about this is that you can also apply that to the kitty cats themselves. If any of your hero phases when Icebrow Hunter and his battalion sets up for an ambush, you can also set up any units of Frost Sabers that you set up to one side earlier. So basically you can kind of, they normally don't have that ability, and you can kind of combo that in here. And this is a relatively cheap formation. This one here is only 280. The Torbat is 1600, which still leaves you about 400 points in 2K, which I feel like this is my overall winner right here. Now I don't exactly like, I would like to see a Thunder Tusk, a Stonehorn in here rather. I feel like Stonehorns are more resilient, but you know, if you got a lot of points to play with, maybe like 2,500, I think this is your go-to right here. If you're trying to play competitively, if you're just funsies, this is about as funsies as you can get, putting 4 monsters on the table. Plus, you know, you still have roughly 400 points for a squad of Mournfangs. So I like that formation. And then we get to the last 2 Alfro Stuns, which are almost mirror matches of each other. They just kind of swap out the Jorbad and the Earlbad here, right? But they up the count. This one ups the count to 3 to 9 of Stonehorn Beast Riders, right? Oh, instead of 1 to 3. So, wow, okay, so that one ups, okay, I got that wrong. So this one ups your Stonehorn Beast Riders, this one ups your Mournfangs, which is fine. They have the background, like these guys were up running around Sky Bridges here, and these guys are just kind of down in the cut, doing a thing, fighting chaos. But then it also combos in with, you can pair these other battalions in right here. Now, you get some usually you get like these special, in one of these you usually get a special like artifact kind of upgrade thing that you can only take in here. And this one's is the Hellwinter of Embrus, which is roll each time the Baer suffers a mortal wound, and on a 5 or more that wound is ignored, which is kind of neat, because if you put this on a Frost Lord, Frost Lords are silly resilient. Those guys, it takes a lot to kill a Frost Lord on a Stonehorn. So when you have that resiliency too, you're doing I seriously doubt that model will die unless you're going up against like Nagash or Archaon or something like that. Or Ariel. I think she can just straight up remove people. She's meanie. So then the other thing here is add +1 to the wounds characteristic of all Stonehorn models in this. So you're going from 12 to 13. And I think if you're the Lord starts out at 13. So I think you go up to 14 right there. 14 models. 14 wound models. Woof. Woof. Man, that's hard to take down, and he's got a 3-0 save too, and he reduces half. He reduces damage to half. Did I mention how good he is? We're going to talk about that. Anyway, so that kind of gives you the restrictions there. Now, for this, you're looking at about 1,700 points, roughly. So it doesn't go up that much, because you can just still take the basics. You just have to add in a Frost Lord, which is roughly, on Stonehorn, I believe, is 460. So you're looking right around 1,700 for this bad boy right here. Up from, with an Earl, let's see, with a Jorbad, that's roughly 1080, so 14, so you gotta up it to, yeah, so it's about roughly 1,700, easily doable in 2K. And then over here, same deal, it's roughly about 1,700, and just because the Mournfangs are 400 points more, so they're roughly the same price as a Frost Lord, give or take about 60 points right there. So I think these are pretty good. And if you don't want to go with the Jorbad, these are pretty good to take too if you're looking at playing like about 2K points. Now let's talk about some of the combos. Oh, the Bragas Beast Hammer. I like this guy. So again, Frost Lord on Stonehorn, loving it. It's a special character technically, Bragath, right? And what Bragath does is he gives, he himself has +1 wound. So that's his like, hey, that's my thing. I'm Bragath. I got +1 wound. Whatever, no big deal. So this, as long as these two, the Iron Jaws and the Beastclaw Riders are within 6 inches of each other, you can add 1 to hit rolls for either of them and vice versa. And that's not just combat, that's hit rolls for shooting, which they don't really super have, but I guess the Stonehorn, the Frost Lord definitely does some sort of, he's got his little spear thingy. Then you got the Overrunning Stampede, which is pretty bananas, once per battle at the end of your combat phase. So combat phase is over. Now this battalion can make an Overrunning Stampede. Each unit in the battalion that charged successfully that turn can immediately pile in and attack again in an order of your choice. Your enemy does not get to attack back. That's not an extra combat phase. They get to pile in and attack again. So all of your guys, if they charge, get to pile in and attack again. This is pretty dirty. I don't know. These are so strong, and these and a Frostlord, very, very strong models. The question is, these aren't quite as strong, but they're really good. And I'm wondering, and I haven't got a straight answer on it yet, maybe somebody can drop it in the comments, is for the Sylvaneth Battletome, there was something in there where you could take Fire Slayers, and you could pair them into the Sylvaneth Battalion. And the FAQ for that said that because it was a Sylvaneth Battalion, they had Allegiance Sylvaneth. So I'm wondering if for this particular thing, because this is Beastclaw following the same FAQ from Games Workshop, I'm wondering if that would apply to this too, and this would be a Beastclaw battalion, because it seems kind of silly. You can take a Beastclaw Raiders battalion that can only be found in their battletome, which would mean that they have the allegiance, and then you don't get access to all the cool gear and stuff, and you would be basically locked out of that and have to jump over to the order book, or select order allegiance abilities out of the General's Handbook. So that's a big question mark. We're going to put a pin in that one and hopefully rely on some of the comments out there. And if anybody has, because I know they haven't come out with a specific FAQ on it yet, but relying on the Sylvaneth one, I'm hoping that is the same. Now, jumping over to the War Scrolls themselves. There's only 10 of these bad boys. Normally, I don't spend a whole lot of time on it, but we're already about 20 minutes in on the video. These things tend to take a while, because going over a codex, it's basically semi like learning a college class, I feel like, right? So the War Scrolls are pretty cool. Like, I love these monsters. Like, I just got drawn in immediately by it. Now, the key here is always take a look at your keywords, because you have a restriction on heroes, you have a restriction on behemoths. And make sure you bust out your General's Handbook if you're playing points, because all of these things have a special abilities, I guess, or special notes, that some things count as battle lines, depending on, like for the Yetis, for example, if you take a Frostlord on Thundertusk, not a Stonehorn, they become battle line, okay? And if anything is Beastclaw Raiders Allegiance, then your Morfangs are battle line, your Frost Sabers are not, but only if you take a Hunter. But for some strange reason, your Beast Riders up here, your Stonehorn and your Thundertusks, your two-man teams right there, are battle line as well. So Morfangs and these guys are battle lines, which is really interesting to see, because who doesn't like taking big monsters? I do. I want all the big monsters because they just look cool. So the Frostlord on Stonehorn, I haven't played much Age of Sigmar. I'll be honest. I'm just going to say stuff that may or may not be 100% correct. But this guy is really hard to kill. Like, really, really super hard to kill. He took a lot of damage in a game when I was playing, and I was really surprised. And he can dish it out too. Don't get me wrong. He did, I want to say, like 10 wounds to an Ogre War Boss in one game. And the key to that is his Frost Spear. His Frost Spear is just like bananas good. Range 2, attacks 4, hits on 3s, wound on 3s, neg 1 rend. But the key here is damage 3. I mean, that picks up bases of models if it gets through. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the bigger troops, elite troops, are 3 wounds. And when you're dealing out 3, that's just dirty. Right? Then you got punches and kicks, which are kind of whatever. The Stonehorn's horns are pretty decent too. Rend 2, again, damage 3, picking up bases. But perhaps the most ridiculous one here is the hooves, which is d6 attacks 3s, generally 2s to wound, neg 1 rend, but it does d3 damage. So it kind of mops up at the end, generally. Now, the big key to the Stonehorns, the reason I like them so much, is you have any damage that actually gets through, and mortal wounds, rounding up. I mean, that's pretty nuts. Like, these guys have serious staying power. Plus, they always have to charge. You're always going to get this guy into combat. He won't hold back. He can run and charge regardless of formation or battalion or whatever, right? You can also issue his special command ability if you don't do the Battle Shock one, where all Beastclaw Raiders within 14 can reroll their charge. That's pretty good too. I feel like all of your armies should start with this guy right here as their general, because not only is he super resilient and hard to kill, but he's tough as nails, his damage output is ridiculous. He's got 13 wounds with a 9 bravery with a 3+ save. I can't find anything bad about this model besides the fact that it's nearly on point with some of the special characters out there. It's 460 points right here. But man, let me tell you what, this guy will straight up hold the line and form the tip of the spear which is kind of unheard of for a general, I feel like. I mean, it is Hero Hammer, but whatever. I love this guy. And then his counterpart, the Frost Lord on Thunder Tusk over here, a lot of the same abilities, but the most bestest, that's a real word, is the missile weapon technology on this bad boy. So basically, as long as you target something within 18 and you don't roll a 2 or a 1 to hit, you're doing, for the most part, what is it, D6? I think it's D6, yeah. As long as you don't take over 3 damage or 3 wounds on your guy, you're doing 6 mortal wounds straight up to people. And now, you can have 4 of these in an army. You can have 4 Thunder Tusks in an army. Now, do the math. If you don't roll a 1, you're doing 6 mortal wounds on damage. That's, on average, probably 24 mortal wounds directed at anything within 18 inches. I can't think of much in the game that could take 24 mortal wounds and still keep on ticking. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a low model count to this army, but there's a huge damage output as well, which I dig. The other thing too is neg 1 to hit in combat against these guys. What was the other thing? Oh, in the shooting phase, you can pick a unit within 18. That's what we talked about, the Blades of Ice. Now, this is a missile weapon attack, so you can buff it with to reroll 1s and stuff and such like that. And the command ability is the same. Then it goes into the Huskguard on both Stonehorn and Thunder Tusk. And his neat thing is he's got all basically the same abilities that we talked about there. But he's got this neat thing, that, at least the one on the Thunder Tusk, is he's got this thing called Blizzard Speaker, which is kind of like fake magic. You roll for every Thunder Tusk within 18 inches on a 4 or more, select one of the abilities to apply. You can select a model in a unit to heal D3 wounds, so that's great for both, you know, the big guys and the Morfangs themselves. Or you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for the unit at the start of your next hero phase, which is good if something got stuck flat-footed and now doesn't have that battle ability that we saw earlier in the book. But I'll tell you what, I feel like you're going to be healing yourself a lot, because you heal yourself with that and you heal yourself with the pelt. You can be healing back a lot of wounds every turn, and you know, basically healing up to a max of 6 wounds. You know, on a 12 wound model, that's like half their wounds back every turn, which also helps with the damage, the HeroClix damage table right there, right? And then we get into the Stonehorn Beast Riders themselves, and their counterparts, the Thunder Tusk Beast Riders. Now, they have the same abilities: Stone Skeletons, Numbing Chill, neg 1 to hit the Thunder Tusk, you know, have the damage on the Stonehorns. They have their super mortal wound attack. They have their, hey, we got to charge, you know, we can run and charge kind of thing, and then Blood Vulture equipment. Shooting attacks right there. They're nifty. They're kind of, you pick a model, they pick a model, you roll a dice, it either attacks that model, or you get to or they get to choose a different model in their army for you to attack. The Hunter right here, we talked about him. He basically gets to deploy, he's the master of ambush, so he gets to deploy anywhere in the battlefield 9 inches away from an enemy model. He's not too shabby, 7 wounds, 7 bravery, 5 up save. I feel like he's pretty good. Mighty Throw, he can do this thing with his spear, where the damage is increased from D3 to D6 if he runs. And he has a greater range because he's basically, you know, getting the speed up to throw the spear. And then Icy Breath, where he picks something up on a roll of a 4 or more, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds as they are frozen solid. But it's only within 6 inches. But remember, you get to kind of pop up within 9, so I don't know. It's situational. Frost Sabers, they're okay. 2 wounds, 6 up save. You know, they can use their bravery of the hunter and such like that, but they do have a pretty decent damage output. But again, they're 6 wounds, or excuse me, they're 6 up save with only 2 wounds. Icefall Yetis, I like them. 4 wounds, 6 bravery, 6 up save. The move is 9, but they can pile in the combat phase. They count as being in combat if they were within 6, and they can pile in 6. Also, neg 1 to hit them in the combat phase, and they can also run and charge with the Yetis here at the same turn if they were within 16 inches of any friendly Thunder Tusk model. So they're synergetic off the Thunder Tusk. Warmfang packs are just good all around. The Gargant Hacker weapon, 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 4's to hit, 3's to wound, neg 1 Ren, 3 damage, picking up bases all day on that. That's such a good attack, or such a good weapon to have. I probably wouldn't take these, although they're decent, you know, where you get to repose with the Iron Fist on a, what is it, 6, I think. At the end of the attack, they suffer 1 mortal wound if you made a save on a 6. They do. The Sergeant does have a pistol. Hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, neg 1, D3 damage. So always remember to do that during your shooting phase. You can pick on something, I suppose. Bear and Hornblower abilities there. You get to reroll charge distance for the Hornblower, which you can roll 3 dice and pick 2. Not exactly a reroll, but you do have an ability to do a reroll as well, so you can kind of combo that. And then the Banner Bear, it's pretty decent. Roll a dice whenever any model flees within 6. On a 6, there's another model that moves, and I think you can reroll. Yeah, you can reroll your dice rolls of a 6 as well. So if you roll a 6 and your bravery 6, it's probably pretty bad for you. So you do want to reroll that, so it gives you a little bit of extra ability. But these guys are 6 wounds with a 4-up save. I mean, they're hard to kill, and you can actually throw them. You can throw a single one extra saves based off that Huskered ability as well. So, I mean, all of this stuff really works together. The only thing it's lacking is some magic to give it a +1 to hit, or maybe a +1 armor. I guess there really isn't a way to do it unless you kind of combo in something from a different army, but then you lose your Beastclaw faction, which means you kind of lose some of those other abilities, which I think are pretty good. So you just got to remember, low model count, roll high, don't suck, I guess, with this army. But it gives you a great opportunity to have a great low model count army to, kind of tote around to game stores, or your house. Really focus on those models. My particular army is, let's see, what am I rocking? I'm not exactly sure. Oh, that's my cheat sheet. Okay, well, we'll just go by memory. So I have a Frostlord on Stonehorn. I have a Huskered because I like to heal myself. And then I basically have enough points. I was running 8 Morfangs, 2 squads of 4, and one other. I was taking the Thunder Tusk, right, with the Thunder Tusk Beast Raiders. Or Beast Riders, but I can have the points to have another Huskered, which, on Thunder Tusk. So they basically sit back and they kind of blast with that mortal attack, and then you've got, your Morfangs running up to kind of play an interdiction, trying to pick off things and also keep things from assaulting the Thunder Tusk, because Thunder Tusks are a little weak. They can get one-shotted by big beefy units, so I kind of don't want things hitting them. And then the Frostlord just pretty much just runs around killing everything as quick as he can. So there's still like 100 points left over. I haven't been able to fit that little attack package into a battalion, so I'm still kind of playing around with the points. But I like Yetis. They're 120. I'd like to try to work some in, but I haven't been able to in 2K yet. So that's my little list there, and you pretty much get it in the new army box. You just have to buy 2 more of the big guys and another 4 of the Morfangs. So it's right, it's a good army. It's right around $400 cash money out the door with your books, your 2 books. So I feel like it's a pretty decent army. Something to go with. I'm digging it. I'm hobbying out. I'm getting ready to work on putting the rest of my models together after I finish cutting this video here. So that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging in there with me. We will be back next week with a tips and tactics video, probably on the new Death Watch.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. TheLongWar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.